ours bear their thoughts on some issues, some of them of national and global significance. It blows the mind. And we are indeed privileged to be in the studio with these amazing champions and sharing the microphone and the stage with them.
Absolutely. Well, Nigeria, for this hour, Benedi Excel, who is seated to my right, will face Adio Afolarin, who is seated to my left. And just to be clear, Omar, is it Benedi or Benedict? Say that again, please, and speak directly into the microphone.
I am Benedi Excel.
Benedi. Okay. Yes. We just wanted to confirm that there was no typographical error.
Okay.
Well,
adjust your position, use the headphones, and come close to the mic. Remember,
the mic is quite adjustable, so you don't have to strain. You can ensure that you adjust it to suit your posture, okay? The topic for this hour, Nigeria, is peer pressure a greater influence on teenagers' decisions than parental guidance? One of these debaters will say, yes, it is. The other will say, no, it is not.
Let's find out.
That is correct. Now we will find out. You were both told in the emails that you got, you were told to prepare for both sides of the argument. Now we will decide who will say indeed peer pressure is a greater influence on teenagers and who would say no, it is parental guidance that is a greater influence.
As that process continues, a quick reminder that we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, and you get to vote. Also, it's pertinent to mention that you can vote to keep one of the two losers tonight in the race. Yes, you heard right. We have a poll running. You saw the first debate between Cindy and Charles. Cindy lost that one. But the judges will determine at the end of the day who gets to stay in the race. And so can you. Your vote will be welcome. So please follow us on all our social media platforms, X, which is Twitter, and of course on Facebook, and of course on YouTube. Search for the relevant I Beg to Differ debate posts, and please do vote.
That's correct. In fact, the polls for the previous debate are in, and 68% voted in favor of Akilo St. Charles, while 32% voted in favor of Cindy Paul to win the competition.
All right. To win the competition?
To win the debate. to win their debate.
Okay.
To win their debate, not the competition.
All right.
It is too early to determine who wins, Femi.
Okay. So, Benedi Excel, he's 13 years old. In the local tournament, he had 4 debates. He's never lost. And I beg to differ. Student debate contest. Never. Will that streak continue? His opponent, Adio Afolarin, a crowd favorite. Yes, he's tasted one defeat against powerful opposition, but nobody wants to go up against Adio Afolarin on his good day. So we have a debate and a half on our hands.
That is correct. You know the rules already, but I will just quickly remind you of them again, especially the rule about rebuttals during this argument. First of all, you know that you will get 3 phases of this debate: presentation, rebuttal, and closing. You will get 3 minutes during each round to present your arguments, and judges will award marks based on the number, the quality, and the originality of your points. Now, pay attention to this next rule. During the rebuttal rounds, you must first refute your opponent's points before going ahead to add points to your own argument. Before going ahead to add points in favor of your argument, you must first refute your opponent's point. If you do otherwise, you will be penalized. Judges will judge your style based on the eloquence of your presentation and your closing. In other words, judges will award marks for style based on how you open your argument and how you close your arguments. Are these rules clear? Okay.
It's time for us to debate. Oma Benedi Excel, Adio, Afolarin. You've been told what the topic is. Is peer pressure a greater influence on teenagers' decisions than parental guidance? Who is arguing for the motion and who is arguing against?
I'm arguing in support of the motion.
In support of the motion.
And I'm arguing against the motion.
So Afolarin is against the motion. Excel is for the motion.
So that means Excel will say that yes, peer pressure is a greater influence on teenagers' decisions than parental guidance, while Adio will say no, parental guidance instead is a greater influence on teenagers' decisions. We will start with the motion supporter, Oma Benedi Excel. You are now going to open your argument. Remember to speak directly into the microphone. Ensure that your mouth and the mic are on the same level so that you are audible enough. Okay, good. You now get 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Have you ever found yourself doing something just because all your friends were doing it, even though deep down you knew your parents wouldn't approve? That's the power of peer pressure, and it's a force we all reckon with as teenagers. With this, I bid a pleasant afternoon to our unbiased judges, adept moderators, proficient timekeeper, skilled staff of Nigerian Info FM, respected co-debater, and valid listeners and viewers out there. I am Oma Benedi Excel of Government Science Secondary School, Maitama of Abuja, and I'm here to assess why peer pressure often influences our decisions in greater ways than parental guidance. Here are my points to give credence to this topic of discourse. Firstly, immediate influence. Peer pressure immediately influences teenagers' decisions as it is driven by their strong desire for social acceptance. For instance, a 16-year-old in Lagos was arrested for internet fraud after prioritizing peer approval over parental warnings, highlighting the dangers of peer pressure. Secondly, identity formation. During adolescence, peers significantly shape how teenagers think, dress, and behave, even if it contradicts their parents' expectations. For instance, the baby boom generation post-World War II in America was influenced by the counterculture, with rock and roll and the Beatles significantly redefining teenagers' identities through music and fashion. Thirdly, social acceptance. Teenagers often prioritize being accepted by their peers over parental guidance, as peer validation heavily impacts their social lives and their self-esteem. For instance, it may become compulsory or crucial for an individual to put on a clothing brand to maintain or improve their social status. Fourthly, group dynamics. Peer pressure often forces individuals and teenagers to conform to different group norms, even if it contradicts their parental values. It may lead them to adopt dangerous habits like substance abuse to fit in with their peers and feel like bodies among their peer groups. Fifthly, role modeling. Role modeling is popular among teenagers as peers serve as immediate role models for each other. Take, for instance, a popular student's success in sports may inspire other students to aspire similarly, even if their parents emphasize in other fields of life, such as academics. Sixthly, independence. Teenagers seeking autonomy often prioritize peer opinions over parental guidance, especially in personal decisions such as career choices, often leading them to choose paths that align with their peer group's aspirations. Seventhly, youth culture. Teenagers influence youth culture through music, dance, and fashion, as it has been seen through the resurgence of Afrobeat in 2023, which was influenced by teenagers who popularized Afrobeat on social media platforms, thereby influencing teenagers' music, fashion trends, and all of that. Eighthly, acceptance of differences. Teenagers accept each other's differences. They feel alike among each other. They allow individuality in a collective manner. Ninthly, communication. Teenagers communicate in a relatable way to each other. They use slangs and stuff like that to ensure that their communication is immediate and persuasive, which makes peer pressure often more appealing than parental guidance. Lastly, experiential learning. Peers share their experiences to improve each other's social status, which makes it seem like their experiences are often more valid than their parents' long-term. Thank
you. All right. What a presentation round. Interesting stuff. That was a bit sudden. Thank you very much for your presentation round, Excel. Now it's time to see the opening remarks and presentation from his opponent.
Adio Afolarin. Adio, you have 3 minutes now. Your time starts.
From early childhood, the values and principles instilled by parents lays the foundation of the decision-making process of teenagers. While peer influence is a force to be reckoned with, the enduring influence of parental guidance leads the many to ask the question: is peer influence a greater influence on teenage decisions than parental guidance? And my answer is clearly no. Good day, my judges and moderators. My name is Adio Afolarin, and I'm here to oppose the motion state. Is peer pressure a greater influence on teenage decisions than parental guidance? To begin with, parental guidance forms the foundational values and beliefs which shapes the teenager's decision-making process. A study by the University of Minnesota found that teenagers with strong parental bonds are less likely to engage in risky behaviors which would have been due to peer pressure. Additionally, parental guidance includes the discussions of the consequences of actions, making teenagers to consider long-term outcomes over immediate peer approval. A study in the Journal of the Research on Adolescent Health found that teenagers who have discussed the consequences of risky behaviors with parents are less likely to be influenced by peers to engage in those behaviors. Furthermore, in times of crisis or significant decision making, teenagers are more likely to turn to their parents rather than their peers. A study by the University of California found that teenagers are more likely to seek parental advice during critical situations, which identifies the significant influence of parental guidance on teenagers' decision making. Moreover, critical thinking skills. Parental guidance includes the teaching of critical thinking skills to teenagers, encouraging them to develop critical thinking skills that allows them to evaluate peer pressure more objectively. The Stanford University of Education reported that teenagers who are encouraged to build critical thinking skills by their parents are less likely to base decisions solely on peer pressure. In addition to my points, teenagers have been exposed to parental guidance since childhood, making it a more ingrained and enduring influence than peer pressure. The National Institute of Drug Abuse cited that 72% of teenagers who are staying from drug use said that it was parental disapproval that was the most important reason, indicating the strong influence of parental guidance on teenagers' life choices. Moreover, parents serve as role models, and teenagers are more likely to exhibit behaviors that align with what they observe at home. For example, teenagers, according to research by the Pew Research Center, it showed that teenagers with parents who model ethical behaviors are less likely to engage in risky behaviors which have been due to peer pressure. Lastly, parental guidance includes the teaching of conflict resolution skills, allowing teenagers to make independent decisions rather than succumbing to peer pressure. The University of Washington found that teenagers who receive parental guidance on conflict resolution are less likely to be influenced by peer pressure, to be influenced by peer pressure, even under group dynamics. Thank you.
Right on time.
No doubt. Second debate of the national finals pits Adio Afolarin, whom you just heard, 15-year-old SS3 student of Ikorodu Senior High School, against Excel Omar Benedi, 13-year-old government secondary school student, Pyakasa. And I thought I had Excel say, where's it's
Pyakasa Meitama.
Pyakasa Meitama, SS1 student. Interesting debate. A special thanks to Excel's chaperone, Mr. Gioni Elijah Osanemo, school teacher. And thanks to all the teachers who work tirelessly with the parents of these young stars to prepare them for these debates. We love you all.
Indeed. Well, now it is time for the rebuttal rounds. And for this round, we will revert to the motion opposer, Adio Afolarin. You will now get 3 minutes to refute your opponent's point. Your 3 minutes start now. Say that again.
Okay, all protocols duly observed. My name is Adio Afolarin. Opposite the motion state, is peer pressure a greater influence on teenagers' decisions than parental guidance? I would like to repeat some of my opponent's points, and I would like to start with immediate influence. My opponent stated that teenagers can be influenced by peer pressures because of the immediate effects, and I would like to say that the childhood influence of parental guidance often counterbalances these immediate effects, as teenagers are more likely to consider long-term outcomes from their parents because of the parental guidance. Moreover, my opponent also stated identity formation. Parental guidance includes the development of a strong sense of self-identity, preventing teenagers from falling into group dynamics and developing their identities from peers instead. Furthermore, social acceptance. Parental guidance often includes the discussions of the independence in teenagers, allowing them to stay away from the need of dependence on peer groups in order to be socially accepted. And another point my opponent stated was independence. Parental guidance often also includes independence. Parental guidance does not involve caging a child in order to make them more morally upright or acceptable into society. Furthermore, my opponent also stated acceptance of differences. That cannot be true when you've also stated that peer groups have group dynamics. Peer pressure have group dynamics that prevent teenagers from having a single mind more than an hive mind. So how can that same group also have the acceptance of differences when they are all possess an hive mind of group dynamics? Furthermore, you said communication, where parental guidance actually involves the open communication in teenagers, allowing them to prevent themselves from being influenced by peer pressures, and as communications are like that are not to be easily persuasive to teenagers when they've received the proper parental guidance on communication. My opponent also stated youth culture, where parental guidance actually is evolving currently, and it does not stay in the past, as parents are more likely to be aware of current happenings in the world, especially with the advancement of technology. Furthermore, you stated group dynamics. Well, basically, parental guidance includes teaching teenagers to be more independent, preventing them from being influenced by the group dynamics of peer pressure. Thank you.
All right then.
And so the rebuttal round is dusted for Adio Afolarin. Over now to his opponent, XL Omar Benedi.
That's correct. Benedi, you will now get 3 minutes to refute your opponent's points. Your 3 minutes start now.
I mean, Omar Benedi XL, and I am here to present a clearer perspective on the improper assertions that my co-debater has made. Firstly, you spoke on role modeling. Well, role modeling among parents maybe I do, but I'd like to inform you that the generations are different. The job opportunities which were present in the past are not the same that are present now. Each generation evolves in its own way, and I would like to say that most people do not desire to be what their parents are. Most people aspire to be better. They emulate people within their age range who are doing excellently in their different fields and careers. Secondly, you spoke on foundational values, that parents impart foundational values on their children. Well, I'd like to inform you that the proper set of peer groups have greater chances of proper development amongst each other, rather than parents influencing their children in their own ways based on what they have been taught and based on morals that may have evolved, because it has been proven that culture is dynamic, because culture changes, which means that the values imparted by each culture changes, which means that these foundational values will need to adapt, and their peers will help them to adapt positively into the society that they find themselves in. You spoke on the consequences of peer pressure and the consequences in the long run. But I'd like to inform you that parents, though they may be present now, they won't be present permanently. A research has found that we spend most of our lives in school, and in school we are surrounded by our peers, not necessarily our friends. And our peers influence us directly, influence our future, influence our present, because the past and present are what make our future. And our parents are not actively present in our present due to the fact that they are unavoidably unavailable, due to the fact that they have to chase their own lives, look for a source of income for you and I. But our peers are ever present, and through the right choice of peers, we can ensure that we get the right values, we get the right teachings, we mingle among the right people who will take us to where we aim to be. Thirdly, you spoke on critical thinking, that parents teach their children to think critically. But I'd like to inform you that peer pressure helps teenagers to make decisions in the moment. They don't have to think in advance. It helps them think critically. It helps them look ahead. It helps them think that what I do now, how will it affect me? How will it affect me positively in the future? How will this benefit me? How this benefits me? Because they are surrounded by people, and as we all know, 2 minds are greater than one. If they are surrounded by their peers, they'll be able to make collective decisions for their betterment. You also spoke on that parental guidance will help them abstain from societal vices. Well, I'd like to inform you that despite the efforts of multiple parents, deviance is an unavoidable vice in our society, and I'd like to inform you that the right set of peers can help provide abstinence. Peers who have like mindsets, peers who are aimed towards greatness will help each other, because iron sharpens iron. They will aim towards the same perspective. They will aim towards greatness collectively. Additionally, you spoke on conflict resolution. You said conflict resolution will be taught to kids by their parents, because it will help them develop good conflict resolution skills, communication skills, and all of that. Well, conflict resolution will not be imparted to the
And so we close the rebuttal rounds, meaning these two young minds, brilliant young minds, have got just their closing arguments to go.
Indeed. We might at this juncture take a quick break to give them a chance to catch their breaths. When we come back, well, you will hear the closing argument between Benedi Excel and Adio Afolarin. The topic is peer pressure a greater influence on teenagers' decisions than parental guidance? Well, Benedi says, yes, it is. Adio Afolarin says, no, it is not. It is in fact and instead parental guidance that influences teenagers the most. Let's take that quick break now. Get ready for the ultimate showdown of intellect and persuasion. The I Beg to Differ National Debate Tournament kicks off on the 12th of August 2024, and it is going to be epic. Witness a thrill of high-stake arguments, insightful rhetoric, and unbeatable wit. The sharpest minds from Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt will clash for the prestigious title of National Debate Champion. Who will rise to the top and claim the ultimate crown? Well, tune in to 99.3 Nigeria Info Lagos, 95.1 Nigeria Info Abuja, and 92.3 Nigeria Info Port Harcourt, Monday through Thursday, 4 o'clock, and experience the power of persuasive debate like never before. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
Welcome back. You've heard the presentation rounds, you've heard the rebuttal round of the very second debate on the first day of the national finals. It is now time for the closing arguments between 13-year-old Excel Benedi Oma and Afolarin Adio, 15 years of age.
That's correct, Femi. Now for this round, we will revert to the motion supporter, Benedi Excel. Benedi, you'll now get 3 minutes to close your argument. Your time starts now.
As the sun sets on this debate, it is important to address some of the points that my co-debater has attempted to advance. First, you spoke on the childhood influence, that it will impart them from their childhood. Well, I'd like to inform you that the people of yesterday are not the people of today. People change, people grow up, and I would like to inform you that it is mostly within their teenage age that peers are easily influenced and peers' identities are formed. Peers' influence on each other and themselves are formed. You also spoke on prevention from group dynamics. Like, you said I contradicted myself by saying group dynamics and then acceptance of differences. Well, I would like to inform you that I said individually and collectively at the same time, because not everyone is alike. People are different. So by adapting to group dynamics, we can easily accept each other's differences and create an overall better society. You also spoke on the dependence on peer groups, like will depend on ourselves. Well, I'd like to inform you that peer groups allows dependence in an independent way, each person providing to a collective progress. You also spoke that they can't think in a hive mind. Well, I'd like to inform you that if everyone thinks towards the same perspective, there will be no versatility, there will be no difference. Everybody will be the same. Individuality will be lost in our society. People will become the same, and it will not be proper for the betterment, because they all chase the same aspiration. If they are thinking in a hive mind, they have to think differently to think collectively. You also said that culture evolves, and I would like to inform you that yes, culture does. Culture evolves in ways beyond we can imagine, and culture is not based on what our parents have been taught, but it's based on what we choose for it to be. That's why I said it's youth culture. Each generation changes culture, because culture is dynamic. Culture can never be the same. And I would like to close my argument by saying that peer pressure allows us to think immediately. Due to its immediate influence, it shapes our identity in the best of ways. It helps us to incorporate properly into society. It helps us to adapt easily to group norms. It helps us to create role models for each other, for ourselves, both positively and in the present, and it helps us gain autonomy. Lastly, it helps us provide for a dynamic culture and ensure that change is constant in our society, because progress cannot be achieved if there is no change. Parental guidance may serve as the bedrock for which sound decisions are built, but I'd like to inform you that the immediate influence of peer pressure is not due to the unavoidable absence of our parents in our social life. Lastly, I'd like to say that peer pressure is the future, and striking a balance between parental guidance and peer pressure is the key to ensure that that teenagers are both being imparted and grounded in their parents' foundational values, and as well ensuring that they are dynamic and socially accepted by ensuring that they benefit positively from the positive aspects of peer pressure. Thank you.
Well done.
And so he rests his case. His name is Benedi Excel. He's 13 years of age, a student of government secondary school, Pyakasa, in Abuja. He's in SS1. His opponent still has to rest his case.
That is correct. And rest his case, he will. Adio Afolarin, you now get 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Adio Afolarin, and I'm opposing the motion states is peer pressure a greater influence on teenagers' decisions than parental guidance. And now, these are my closing arguments. To begin with, moral and ethical framework. Parental guidance instills a moral and ethical framework that helps teenagers navigate decisions, reducing the impact on peer pressure when it contradicts these values. Furthermore, parental guidance, parents offer guidance based on years of experience, which teenagers view as more valuable compared to the limited life experiences of their peers. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 90% of teenagers who abstain from drug use attributed their decisions to the advice and warnings of their parents, valuing their parents' life experiences over peer suggestions. Furthermore, teenagers are more likely to trust their parents who have consistently cared for their well-being compared to peers who might offer conflicting or temporary advice. To add to my point, parental guidance includes the development of a strong sense of self-identity, making teenagers less susceptible to peer influence. And lastly, the emotional bond between parents and teenagers often makes teenagers more likely to consider their parents' advice and warnings over peer suggestions. According to a report at the Pew Research Center, it shows that most teenagers say they have a close relationship with at least one parent, indicating the strong connection between parents and their teenagers, influencing their decision making than peer influence. And I would like to address some of the misunderstandings from my opponent. First of all, my opponent stated that parents are usually unavailable or are not usually present in teenagers' life, where parental guidance involves the active presence and availability of teenagers of parents in teenagers' lives. And so as such, it cannot be possible for parental guidance to be without the parents being actively present and active in the teenager's life. Furthermore, my opponent stated that teenagers cannot speak in a hive mind when they are in peer influence. I meant teenagers speak in hive minds when they are in peer influence because the group dynamics causes them to lose their individuality and actually focus more on the group's ideals. And furthermore, my opponent also stated that I stated that their parents that teenagers cannot follow cultural changes. Well, I stated that parents can actually follow cultural changes with the advancement of the internet and social media, allowing them to constantly adapt to the changes in the environment and society. And lastly, my opponent stated those are what I would like to report to my opponents. Thank you.
All right then.
And so this debate is officially over. It is time now for decision time. But would like to say a warm thank you to these two youngsters. Benedi Excel of Government Secondary School, Pyakasa, Abuja, SS1 student indeed. And of course, Adio Afolarin, SS3 student of Ikorodu Senior High School here in Lagos. As a reminder, this debate has come to you on Nigeria Info, live on radio. And these individuals, these young stars, have been scouted from across the country. These were the most impressive debaters from previous debates in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, the zones where the local qualifiers for the nationals were held. And you'll also meet some of these individuals who had been champions from each of these regions. Tomorrow we'll see, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps two such champions. But we'll see how it goes. At least we will see a champion tomorrow. There will be more talk on that later on. The judges are collating the results. Remember, you get to vote. If you haven't voted already, go to our social media pages, Facebook, and of course YouTube. For the live streams, you get to vote there. We will read out your votes later. Would also expect you to vote to keep one of the two losers in these days' debates. Cindy lost in her first debate up against Charles, and whoever loses in the second debate will also still have as much a chance as Cindy to stay on if they are adjudged to have been the better debater on the night of the two losers. I hate to use that word, but
It is what it is.
yes. But for these youngsters who've reached this stage, the word loser does not apply. But at the end of the day, somebody has got to progress and somebody has got to go tonight.
Indeed.
We'll wait a while as the collation goes. We attempted to hear from some of you guys, but we'll allow the judges wrap up their decision making and share with the chief judge, who will share with us. Meanwhile, there's also perhaps an opportunity to look at some areas these two debaters may need to pay some attention to going forward.
Absolutely, Femi. I'd like to start with Omar Benedi. First of all, wonderful. You did such a great job. You are quite an eloquent speaker. You're quite confident. I loved listening to you. However, I'd like for you to pay attention to sentence connectors, okay? Instead of saying firstly, secondly, thirdly, fourthly, fifthly, sixthly, you may want to say first, second, in addition, furthermore, okay, moreover, because there are not many adverbs in the English language that end in the ly, so it sounds absurd to keep saying fifthly, sixthly. I prayed for the life of me that he wouldn't get to tenthly.
Yeah, when he got there, he said finally.
He did. When he got there, he said finally. I said, oh, thank goodness.
Technically, it's not incorrect, but it's weird.
It is weird. It is weird. And especially because, as I said earlier, not many adverbs in the English language end in the ly. And when using numbers, when you're counting in numbers, it is better to just go with first, second, third, fourth. In fact, when you get to third, you can then go on to say furthermore, in addition, moreover, okay, which is something Adio Afolarin really took to heart, And
I thought what the youngster was trying to also do is to remind the judges
of his
I've made 8 points, I've made 9 points. But
you could have also said my 9th point, my 7th point.
Yeah,
all of those things.
Yeah, and when you say firstly, secondly, thirdly, if you get to thirdly,
move on from there too. Well done again. I'd also like to point out that when you're referring to, there's a difference between one another and each other. When you use each other, you're referring to just two people in the context. But you said peers, so we do not even know the number of peers you're referring to, or you were referring to. So the appropriate expression should have been one another. I'm sure you know that, but in the heat of the moment, you forgot that one. Another thing I'd like for you to note is research, okay? You do not say a research, because research is non-count, is a non-count noun. So you'd rather say some research, you'd say some research or research
or
simply.
Certain research.
Or certain research, but you do not say a research, because when you say a research, you have quantified it. That means there will be two researches, but there is no such thing in the English language as researches, okay? It is research one, research all. And also like to say, and I'm sure you made this mistake in the heat of the moment, but you said beyond we can imagine. I'm sure you could have said beyond our imagination.
Beyond what we can imagine.
Or more than we can imagine, And then to you, Adio Afolarin, I'd like to say well done again. We didn't doubt. Of course, you're here because you did such a great job in the last edition of the debate. However, this is a recurring error with you that I'd like for you to really pay attention to now, especially because your diction is judged as well. Okay? So the first thing I'd like to say is when you use according to, you do not need to go further and say it states. According to research, according to a study conducted by the Harvard Institute of Education, for example, so and so number of people are more likely to, you get the point I'm trying to make. You go straight to what the research says. You do not go on to say it states after saying according to research. The other thing, again, I'd like for you to pay attention to is your subject-verb agreement. You still struggled there, and I'd like for you to, pay attention to that. And then it is communication. It is not plural. You use communications when you're referring to the telecom sector, to the telecommunications sector, okay? But when you say communication, it is communication. That is when you're referring to, discussions between two people, okay? When you're referring to discussion between you and someone, it is communication. But if you're referring to a sector that involves the use of telephones, computers, interconnectivity, then you can say communications. I work in communications. That means you work in the telecoms sector. All right. I'd also like to point out that dynamics, I know that it is quite, the English language itself is quite dynamic, and some things can be confusing, but dynamics is the plural form of dynamic. Okay. You could have said a dynamic, but then you went on to say dynamics, and then because you used the plural form, you failed to adhere to the subject-verb agreement rule. So to both of you, you're getting a deduction of -4 because you made 8 errors that I pointed out. I ignored a few others. Remember that the goal is to focus on those, those errors that are quite salient, that are obvious, all right? And I just had to point them out. Now, I'd like to also say that you say adolescent, you don't say adolescent, okay? Adolescent. And it is pressure. I know you hear it every time. You hear pressure. Many of you also hear prayer. But under no circumstance is it prayer nor pressure. It is pressure. Okay? It is shh, not zh. All right? Well done to both of you. Wonderful debate. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them, Femi.
Yeah, most certainly. And just to add a little bit more to Afolarin, pay attention if you do progress in these debates to your to what you do when you are talking. There's a lot of distortion that hits me when you are talking, and some of it is I can understand the swiveling, the body movement, and all of that. And there's this thing you also do with your mouth occasionally, and the mic picks it, so it's constantly. Do you understand? It distorts. There's a sound. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Excel. I can understand for emphasis, and you tap the table quite a bit. The point. I wonder whether we had a woodpecker in the studio, but it's totally understandable. Sometimes it's like that. So, but remember, every time you touch the table, the microphone gets it. You might tap on your hand if you have to, to make the point, so that the sound picked by the microphone does not distort the point you are making to the judges and your audience.
Thank you very much, Femi. Where are we with the judging? Let's find out what the judges are doing at this point. Oh, the judges are collating the results. And as Femi said earlier, we will take some reactions to this debate. Remember that polls are up on YouTube as well as on X. Go there and guess who you think will win this debate. And of course, guess whom the judges will vote to give a second chance. Well, if you'd like to get in touch with us, call the number 0201 271 0993 or call the number 0201 465 7190. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello there. Good evening to you. What's your name, ma'am?
Good evening, ma'am. This is Madam Yvonne and Principal Femi.
How are you doing, madam?
I'm protesting. My message was not read, but then...
Oh, beg your pardon, ma'am. We apologize.
It is Oboli calling from Ikorodu.
Mrs. Oboli, welcome.
As a matter of fact, there was one message that Yvonne started to read. I thought, the earlier construction. I felt that was Mrs.
Oboli, right?
And then I looked I looked at her screen and I saw that it wasn't. So I was waiting for, it happens. Thank you very much. We appreciate your constancy with us.
The two of them, they've done pretty nicely this evening. I make bold to say, the 13-year-old, oh my God, she wowed me. At 13, honestly, I commend her brilliance. I commend her dexterity. I also commend Adio as well. But Adio, please, I want you to open your mouth.
Mrs. Obali, the 13-year-old is a boy.
Oh, it's a boy.
It's Oma Benedi. It's a boy.
Wow. Excel, right?
Yes, Excel.
Thank you so much. You're what I beg to differ is looking for. Thank you so much. You both make everything so seamless. But please, this is the national finals. Just do more than what you've done today, and the sky will be your starting point. Thank you to Nigeria Info for bringing this to our to our homes on a weekly or on a monthly basis. You are a station to reckon with.
Thank you.
The whole world is listening to you right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oboli. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Hello there.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Good evening. Good evening to you.
Good evening. I'm Juliet from Abuja.
Hi, Juliet. Welcome.
Thank you. In fact, the two debaters, two of them, since there is chance for any of them, for a loser to go, two of them should go to the next round because they did better than the first round. That's my own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We need to progress. We'll come back if we... Oh, look at the time. Let's go straight to the scorecards. The judges have decided. And there is where we head. For this second debate, all the judges have had their scorecards collated, and here are the results. For the presentation round, a total score of 90.5 points to Excel and 70.5 points to Afolarin.
All right, then. Now we will go straight to the rebuttal rounds, where the judges awarded 53.5 points to Excel and 49 points to Afolarin.
In the closing rounds, Excel 43 points, Afolarin 41 points.
And for style, the judges award 31 points to Excel and 23 points to Afolarin.
You already had that George Yvonne had awarded 4 points deduction apiece for both of these debaters, bringing us to a final point total of 179.5 points to Afolarin, Adio, and 214 points to Excel, Benedi, Oma. Congratulations, Excel.
Excel, well done. We look forward to having you next week. Well done. Apparently you already have fans, rooting for you. And for you as well, Adio Afolarin. Well, the judges will now vote to keep both debaters that lost the debate today. The first, Cindy, and now Afolarin. Remember that the polls are still up, so head over there to vote, or at least guess. Judges will vote to retain in the competition.
So I see a vote, but I guess this is the vote of the chief judge. Please, all judges, please drop your votes here. First, to determine who is your favorite debater of the night. Who is number one on the night? This will affect the scheduling and the fixtures going forward. For clarity's sakes, whoever finishes top debater tonight will go up against whoever is the wild card, the loser from tomorrow that is saved. Will go ahead in the second round, go head to head with whoever is the top contender, whoever is top of the two winners. And we'll reverse that also. Whoever is top tomorrow will go head to head with whoever is the wild card that is saved tonight. And then the second best debater of the night, that is the debater who won, the second best of the two winners, will go head to head tomorrow. In the next round. So the second best winner tonight and the second best winner tomorrow night will go head to head in the second round next week. I hope that is clear. So let's see what the judges have decided. Let me let you know how each of these judges have decided. In terms of the top debater for the night, Judge Chike gives first position to Excel as the best debater of the night. I'm checking how Coach Ama has voted. We'll see in just a bit. Yvonne, I need clarity. I need to know, what are we voting for? Yvonne, let's have clarity as to first best voter in the night and, of course, wild card. Judges, please, when you put your votes there, let's know exactly. Okay, I see Yvonne's vote. We'll come back to Judge Yvonne's vote in just a bit. Judge Ufoma votes Excel as this top debater of the night. That's two top debates votes for Excel. I'm waiting for George Ama's. I've seen her wild card. I am waiting for her vote. I'm also waiting for the vote of Judge Elizabeth. We haven't seen that. But understandably, we only need 3 votes to determine. So Judge Elizabeth's vote for the night is Excel as the top debater. Top debater, Excel. Judge Ama, top debater is Charles Akilo. Top debater, Charles Akilo. For Judge Yvonne, top debater is Excel. So congratulations, Excel. You are the top debater on the night. You qualify automatically for the second round, and we already know tomorrow you will find out who your opponent will be, and that is whoever is the wild card tomorrow night. You'll go against that person. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm super blown away. You are only 13. I struggle to believe it.
I couldn't believe it either.
Because at 13, they used to call me brain, but I don't remember being this smart.
Not just smart, but quite confident.
And coordinated.
Exactly.
Coordinated. And, of course, command of grammar pretty impressive. So congratulations. Well, you haven't won on the night, Adio, Afolarin, but you've given a good account, a brilliant account of yourself. Understanding that usually the first day of the debates are usually like this, full of nerves. And we've seen it time and time again, when those nerves are taken off, the debaters become something else entirely.
Yes, we have the poll results here.
Yes, I know. Poll to determine who is the wild. Oh, the poll before we go. Okay.
Whom
The
the
best.
judges would pick as the wild card.
Yes, certainly. Are you talking about the poll of the audience?
Yes.
Yeah, just does that include the best debater on the night, or just the wild card?
Just the wild card.
Okay, we'll come to that. Okay, how do the audience vote?
Well, on YouTube, the audience vote in favor of Paul Cindy to be retained by the judges at 21% and against in favor of Adio Afolarin at 20%. On X, it is Paul Cindy 35.7% and Adio Afolarin 28.6%.
Interesting. And now it is time to see how the judges have voted. Judge Ngbadiche's wild card opportunity goes to Cindy. George Ufoma Egbamuno's wild card opportunity goes to Cindy. George Ama's wild card opportunity goes to Afolarin. George Yvonne Okhaifo's wild card vote goes to Afolarin. 2 votes apiece between Afolarin and Cindy. Judge Elizabeth's vote will take it either way. Judge Elizabeth Michael gives her wild card opportunity to Adio Afolarin. Congratulations, Adio Afolarin. You progress by 3 votes to 2. It was close. But it's congratulations nonetheless. So you will be going up in the next round against whoever is adjudged to be the second best winner for tomorrow night. It will be a clash of 2 winners in the second round, and that contest will be on Monday.
Well, I believe we have the job is done for today.
It is.
Femi. We are out of time, completely out of time. But Nigeria, thank you so much for being with us today on the first day of the commencement of Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ Tournament of Champions. We are 1 day down with at least 14, 16, maybe 18 more days to go. Tomorrow promises to be even more intense.
Definitely. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's made it work, especially our judges. And to just put this there for clarification, when we do the votes in the first and second rounds of debates to determine who the best voter was on the night, when the judging is to be done, if the judges are listening right now, all you need to do is top debater, so person, wild card, so person. It needs not be first, second, third. That's not it. top debater. The top debater, just give us one name as your best debater, and of course give us one name as your wild card.
That is correct.
Thank you, Nigeria, for joining us for the Nationals. My name is Femi Obong-Daniels, and Yvonne Okhaifo is my partner.
That's correct.
On behalf of the amazing I Beg to Differ team who've worked tirelessly, all our judges, Chike, Ama, Elizabeth, Ufoma, and of course Yvonne, my co-moderator, and the amazing guys who've made things work everywhere, who have made sure contestants have come from different parts of the country. Gabriella Daniel, Emmanuel, Elefizi, Abimbola, to Sheriff Quadri, who does the production, who leads the production team for this debate, alongside all the guys who make it happen, the likes of Carl Orakwe and of course Dan the Big One in Abuja, program director for our group of radio stations, Prince Aboki Daniel, and of course the entire digital team, everybody from Ken to Tunde, to all the other lads, to Sam, to Olamide, Onyeka, all the guys, and our production team who make sure we are here. Join us again tomorrow. We are
Same
here,
time.
yes, at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. tomorrow. The debate starts. Apologies for starting a little late today, and we've eaten into news time, but it is what it is. Until tomorrow, Yvonne.
That's right. This is Nigeria Info's I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
Good night, everybody.
Get ready for the ultimate showdown of intellect and persuasion. The I Beg to Differ National Debate Tournament kicks off on the 12th of August 2024, and it is going to be epic. Witness the thrill of high-stake arguments, insightful rhetoric, and unbeatable wit. The sharpest minds from Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt will clash for the prestigious title of National Debate Champion. Who will rise to the top and claim the ultimate crown? Well, tune in to 99.3 Nigeria Info Lagos, 95.1 Nigeria Info Abuja, and 92.3 Nigeria Info Port Harcourt, Monday through Thursday, 4 o'clock, and experience the power of persuasive debate like never before. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's